At 82 years old, I've experienced my fair share of joys, challenges, and turning points here in the United States. Growing up in a small Midwestern town taught me the value of community and independence. Yet after a series of health scares, I found myself doing something I never thought I would, moving into a nursing home. Back then, everyone around me said it was the safest, smartest decision. My children insisted it would bring me comfort and round-the-clock care, and I didn't argue. I remember driving through the quiet American suburbs, thinking how this new place might become my permanent home. Little did I know that stepping through those doors would forever change my perspective on aging. Today, I want to share 5 hard truths I learned the painful way. Truths I wish someone had told me before I signed the papers and gave up my house keys. My hope is that by the end of this video and this story, you'll have a clearer sense of whether a nursing home is truly right for you or your loved one. Because while such facilities can provide help and security, they can also carry deep regrets that are not so easily undone. Truth number 1, loss of true independence. I never realized how much my independence mattered until I lost it. In my previous home, an old but cozy 2-bedroom house in Ohio, I was free to wake up at 5 a.m. or 11 a.m. if I pleased. I could have scrambled eggs for dinner or an ice cream sundae for breakfast without anyone raising an eyebrow. But when I moved into the nursing home, I discovered that my daily routine was no longer under my control. Mealtimes were set, and so were visiting hours. Even the lights in the hallway dimmed at a specific hour, sending an unspoken message. It's time to sleep, whether you want to or not. For a while, I tried to adapt. I told myself, "You've worked hard your whole life. Maybe it's time to let someone else take care of the details." However, I soon found that these regimented days chipped away at my spirit. When I wanted to take a walk outside, just to feel the fresh morning air, I had to request a staff member's assistance. If they were busy, I waited. Sometimes that wait stretched to an hour or more. My sense of spontaneity vanished, replaced by forms, schedules, and approvals. Worse still, I witnessed my decision-making abilities dwindle. In a nursing home, it's often easier for staff to have everyone follow a collective plan. This makes sense from their perspective. They need to ensure the safety of dozens, sometimes hundreds, of residents. But from my vantage point, it felt like I was merely a puzzle piece in someone else's big picture. No matter how kindly the staff spoke to me, that underlying reality remained. It reminded me of an old quote many seniors love: "Freedom is never dear at any price. It is the breath of life." Losing that breath, my autonomy, was suffocating. And yes, I had glimpses of how convenient everything was: laundry services, medical care, meal prep. No more worrying about buying groceries or forgetting to take medication. Yet, I also missed the satisfaction of doing small tasks. It's surprising how watering a houseplant or preparing a simple sandwich can reaffirm that you're still capable, still needed in this world. In the nursing home, I felt that sense of capability slipping away day by day. The consequences. As my independence eroded, so did my confidence. I found myself hesitating to do even minor tasks. Should I wait for a nurse to help me? I worried about making mistakes or breaking the rules. Little by little, I began to rely on other people more than I relied on myself. And once you depend on others for everyday functions, you start to feel more like a patient than a person. The warning. If you or someone you love is considering a nursing home, ask yourself how much independence you're willing to relinquish, because once you've settled into that system, it's not easy to step away. In many cases, people become comfortable with the convenience, yet simultaneously uncomfortable with the loss of autonomy, and that contradiction can be deeply unsettling. If you're still here and finding this insight valuable, please comment the number 2 down below. Your comments mean a great deal to me. They remind me I'm not just speaking to the void. My advice: explore alternatives. There are home care services, visiting nurses, and community programs in many states that can help you maintain your independence longer. If a nursing home is truly necessary for medical reasons, try to negotiate routines. Maybe you can arrange for flexible meal times or have a personal schedule for baths and walks. It might not solve everything, but having a bit of personal control can make a big difference. Communicate with family and friends about your desire to stay active and autonomous. The more they understand your needs, the more likely they can advocate on your behalf. Truth number 2, disconnection from family and community. Not long after moving into the facility, I began to feel like a character in a story that nobody was reading anymore. My family promised to visit often. The first couple of weeks they did. My daughter and son-in-law dropped by with fresh fruit. My grandson, who attends college in Michigan, came down one weekend to check on me. But soon, life got busier for them, and lonelier for me. You see, in the hustle and bustle of American life, people often assume that if you're in a nursing home, you're safe and taken care of. That assumption can accidentally give them the idea that their presence or phone calls are less urgent. After all, Grandma has 24/7 care, right? She'll be okay. And yes, the staff was around. But professional care can never replace the warmth of a family member who truly knows and loves you. The problem isn't just with family visits either. It's also about staying connected to one's community. I used to be active in our local church group. Twice a month, I'd help organize a small gathering for seniors. Sometimes we'd do arts and crafts, sometimes a simple Bible study. When I moved into the nursing home, I lost the ability to coordinate or attend those events easily. Transportation required scheduling. My new address was farther away. Before I knew it, my world had shrunk to the size of a facility courtyard, and my social circle became limited to fellow residents I barely knew. The consequences. Feeling disconnected took a toll on my emotional health. I'd catch myself staring at the window, wondering about the little shops downtown, the Sunday farmers market, or even the local library I once frequented. Each day that passed without a call or a visit intensified my sense of isolation. I recalled a phrase often shared among older folks in my hometown: "It's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years." And let me tell you, if your days are filled with waiting for people who don't come, it's hard to find that life in the years. The warning: if you're considering a nursing home, remember that good intentions from loved ones don't always translate into consistent action. People get busy. They have jobs, children, and their own challenges. Once you move away from the neighborhood you've known, it can be doubly hard to remain connected. Nursing homes often try to create a social environment with group activities, but that doesn't replace the deep comfort of family and community ties. If you find this reflection meaningful, please comment 4 below. It tells me you're still watching and that we're in this conversation together. My advice: set up a visitation calendar with your family in advance. Discuss realistic times they can come by or call. Make it part of their routine before you even move in. Stay connected virtually. If physical distance is an issue, learn to use video calls. Many nursing homes have Wi-Fi and might help you set up a tablet or computer. Invite old friends and community members to visit you. Sometimes people are hesitant because they think a nursing home is off limits. Make sure they know they're welcome. Don't be afraid to initiate contact. If your grandchild gets busy, call them instead of waiting for them to call you. Consistent communication can bridge the gap more than you realize. Truth number 3, a stifled sense of purpose. Before moving into the nursing home, I had a daily rhythm that made me feel needed and alive. I tended to my vegetable garden, baked pies for the church fundraiser, and wrote short stories based on memories from my childhood. These activities weren't just hobbies. They were my way of contributing something to the world. A friend of mine in Chicago once said, "Purpose is the secret sauce of a happy retirement." I couldn't agree more, until I found myself in a place where my usual sources of purpose disappeared overnight. Inside the nursing home, everything was done for me, which initially sounded like a blessing. No more grocery runs, no more heavy lifting in the garden, no more chores. But as time passed, I realized that with no tasks to keep me engaged, my life felt vacant. The staff occasionally offered group crafts, like making paper flowers or painting small canvases, but these activities sometimes felt like mere time fillers rather than meaningful pursuits. I missed growing real flowers, the smell of soil in my hands, the sense that I was part of nature's cycle. What truly stung was noticing a shift in how people viewed me. At home, I was seen as a resourceful elder, someone who still had skills to offer. In the nursing home, I was categorized as a resident, with limitations first and potential second. My identity, once rich with roles, mother, grandmother, writer, gardener, got flattened into a single status, patient. Even the phrase, "we'll handle that for you," slowly robbed me of my motivation. I wanted to remain an active participant in my own life, not just a bystander watching it unfold. The consequences. When I lost my sense of purpose, my mental health took a downward turn. It became easier to sleep in, watch TV passively, and let the days blur together. I often felt a profound emptiness, as though I was no longer contributing to the world or even to my own well-being. This emotional slump impacted my physical health too, because I had less energy to move around or stay mentally sharp. Some neighbors in the facility shared similar experiences. They recalled how they used to volunteer at animal shelters or teach part-time. Now, they felt sidelined. The warning. If your happiness is strongly tied to your daily roles and responsibilities, think long and hard before moving into a setting where those roles could vanish. Nursing home staff might encourage you to pick new hobbies or mingle with other residents, but it's not the same as having a genuinely self-directed mission. The difference between filling time and having a purpose is enormous. If you resonate with this point, please comment 6 below. It's a small but meaningful way to stay connected and let me know that you too value a life of purpose. My advice: retain at least one role or hobby you cherish. If you like to write, keep writing. If you love to cook, see if you can help in the kitchen occasionally. Some nursing homes may allow supervised participation. Set personal goals, even if it's as simple as writing a letter every week to someone you love or crocheting baby blankets for a local charity. These tasks keep your mind active and remind you that you can still contribute. Ask for resources. Some facilities partner with local community centers or churches to offer volunteer activities. Don't be shy about looking for ways to stay engaged. Truth number 4, unexpected health declines. When my daughter first suggested a nursing home, one argument she made was that professional care might improve my overall health. I understood her perspective. Immediate medical attention, physical therapy on site, nutritious meals planned by dietitians. What could go wrong? Ironically, however, my health took a turn for the worse once I settled in. At my old home, I had a reason to stay active. I vacuumed, walked to the mailbox, and pruned the shrubs in my small yard. These activities kept me moving. In the nursing home, everything was done for me to ensure safety and convenience. While that might sound nice, it also encouraged me to be less mobile. If I wanted a glass of water, a nurse would bring it. If my sheets needed changing, housekeeping took care of it. Over time, my joints started to stiffen because they simply weren't used as often. My strength waned. Climbing out of bed in the morning felt more laborious than ever. This environment also exposed me to other health risks. With many older adults living in close quarters, viruses and infections spread quickly. I remember a winter outbreak of the flu that swept through the halls. Despite precautions, it seemed everyone was coughing or bedridden. In my independent home, I could control who visited when I went out and how often I sanitized surfaces. In a shared facility, that control was gone. The consequences: my physical health declined, and my mental health followed suit. Feeling weaker than before, I became fearful of falling or injuring myself. Even physical therapy sessions, while beneficial, weren't the same as natural daily movement. I often thought of the old adage, use it or lose it. In a setting where daily tasks were minimized for safety, I was ironically losing my capacity for independence, and that in turn made me more reliant on the very assistance that contributed to my inactivity in the first place. The warning: if you value staying fit and agile in your later years, do your homework on how the nursing home structures physical activities. Some facilities have robust exercise programs, while others are more passive. Even with good programs, you need the self-motivation to keep moving. Once you're in a place where it's easier to let others do the heavy lifting, you might find yourself drifting into a sedentary life. And that, my friends, can accelerate age-related health problems faster than you might expect. Are you still with me? If so, please comment 8 to let me know you're continuing this journey alongside me. Your engagement keeps this conversation alive. My advice: stay proactive. If you do move into a nursing home, insist on regular walks or stretches. Ask if you can do light chores. As strange as it sounds, folding your own laundry or wiping your table can keep your joints in motion. Look for facilities with diverse activity programs. Ask about daily exercise classes, yoga, or even seated aerobics. Join them consistently to maintain muscle strength and balance. Be mindful of infection control. You have the right to ask how often surfaces are cleaned or how staff handle outbreaks. Stay vigilant about your personal hygiene and environment. Truth number 5. The challenge of leaving once you're in. When I signed the admission forms, I assumed that if it didn't work out, I could simply walk away and return to my old house. The truth was far more complicated. Shortly after I moved in, my children decided to put my home on the market, believing I wouldn't need it anymore. I can't fault them entirely. It's expensive to maintain a vacant property, and nursing home bills themselves can be steep. However, that meant I no longer had a direct place to return to. Then came the realization that my possessions had been donated or sold off. My worn-in recliner, the old wooden desk where I penned my short stories, even the quilts I'd received from friends, gone. Once your physical attachments are severed, it's emotionally and financially daunting to rebuild a home from scratch. And if you've experienced any decline in health, like I mentioned in the previous point, the prospect of independent living can feel overwhelming. Suddenly, you find yourself needing more assistance than you did before, making the idea of returning to a solitary household even less feasible. I recall confiding in a close friend about my second thoughts. She said, "The trouble with security is that you give up a little freedom every time you choose it." That resonated deeply. The longer I stayed in the nursing home, the more layers of security I accepted. Medication management, daily meal delivery, housekeeping. Each layer made me safer, sure, but it also tied me further into that system. By the time I realized it wasn't for me, I'd become so entwined in its routines and so distanced from my previous life that leaving felt nearly impossible. The consequences. Being stuck in a place you no longer want to be can breed resentment, sadness, and a sense of helplessness. It's not just about the building you're in, it's about the entire lifestyle. If you want to return to independent living, you may need to repurchase everything from furniture to groceries to basic appliances. You might require family support to transition back, but they might be unable or unwilling to help. The combined barriers, financial, emotional, physical, can be monumental. The warning. Before moving into a nursing home, consider planning a trial period if the facility allows it. Keep your home or apartment lease for a few extra months or store your furniture in a safe place. Give yourself a safety net in case you discover the environment isn't the right fit. Because once you relinquish your old life entirely, reconstructing it can feel as tough as climbing a mountain without gear. If you've made it this far, please comment 10 below. It shows me you're committed to learning from my mistakes and experiences, and I appreciate your presence here. My advice: retain ownership if possible. Don't rush to sell your home or give away valuables right away. Discuss with your family the potential of returning if the nursing home life doesn't suit you. Set financial boundaries. Nursing home care in the U.S. can be costly, so research insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid options thoroughly. Understand all fees before you sign anything. Maintain a Plan B. Even if it's a small apartment or a relative's basement suite, having a fallback can give you peace of mind. Reflecting on these 5 hard truths, it might sound like I'm completely against nursing homes. That isn't the case. I know many people who genuinely need the level of medical attention and daily assistance these facilities provide. Some folks even find solace in the companionship and structured activities. However, my own journey taught me that the decision should never be made lightly. Every gain in safety or convenience can come with a potential loss of freedom, purpose, and connection. 3 philosophical lessons I've taken from this experience. 1. Cherish your choices. Life in our later years is defined by the freedom to choose how we spend our time. Once we hand over those choices, it's hard to get them back. 2. Value what truly matters. Is it material comfort, or is it the intangible feeling of belonging to a community, a family, or a personal calling? Sometimes, the most important things aren't the ones we initially think of. 3. Aging is both a challenge and a gift. We can't stop the march of time, but we can decide how to face it. Whether in a nursing home or in your own house, approach aging with curiosity and an open heart. You might still learn and grow in ways you never imagined. To everyone out there, especially fellow seniors, ask yourself, are you ready to trade your independence for convenience? Do you have a support system to keep you engaged, healthy, and purposeful if you move? And most importantly, is there another way? There might be more solutions than you think. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this perspective. Your support helps keep these conversations going. I look forward to seeing your comments and hearing about your own experiences. Together, we can navigate these golden years with wisdom, dignity, and hope.